propositional, and also you only get full points if you give a final answer, which is a way that we would say it in English, that is colloquial, right? That doesn't have reference to X, 20 variables, to X or Y or Z, okay? So you have to say something like, so you would not get full marks if you had your final answer as, there exists an X such that X is clear, right? That's not how we talk, right? That is the correct logical analysis of the first sentence, and that's, right, we do get the logical clarity of what it means, but the way we say it in English, right, is something is clear, or some things are clear. Okay. All right. Everything has mass. Okay. So the propositional function involved here is what? Mx triple bar x has mass, right? And right, we are forming this statement. What is it? First of all, it's clearly a universal statement, right? Because it's formed by annexing so this is a universal quantifier, because by putting this to the front of the propositional function, it yields a universal statement. It's a universal statement because it is saying that the propositional function, x has mass, is true of all things. That's what a universal statement does. It says the propositional function is true of all things. So symbolization is simply the universal quantifier annexed to the propositional function. You read this as, for all x, x has mass. Okay? All right, flying saucers exist. Okay, what am I saying here? Right, well, we've got a propositional function, let's call it fx, which means triple bar for definition, x is a flying saucer. What am I saying about flying saucers? This is a quantifier statement. I am saying of how many things the propositional function, x is a flying saucer, is true. And what am I saying about how many? I'm saying that there is at least one. That's what I'm saying by asserting existence. I'm saying that there exists. To say flying saucers exist is to say there is at least one flying saucer. Or there exists an x such that x is a flying saucer. Okay? So any sentence that says blah 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 exists, well, it's going to take the existential quantifier. There exists an x such that that kind of thing exists. All right? There are evil beings. This is, I think this is 1A, B, C, and these are from the end of question 1. There are evil beings. What am I saying when I say there are? Again, it is a quantifier, right? It's asserting existence. There exist. There are evil beings is equivalent to saying there exist evil beings. So the propositional function is Ex, triple bar, x is an evil being. Right? There are evil beings. Backwards it, ex, forward ex. There exists an x such that x is an evil being. Simple as that. All right? And then anything makes John happy, right? So this is a quantifier statement for sure, right? I'm saying, okay, what would my propositional function be? It would be, let's make it hx equals x makes John happy, right? Let's make that. You could have jx, it doesn't matter what letter you choose, as long as you define in words, the propositional function is x makes John happy. And what am I saying? I'm saying anything makes John happy. So a lot of people make mistakes here and think this should get the existential quantifier. No, it should not, right? I'm not saying that there is just one thing that makes John happy. Anything makes John happy. I'm saying of all the things that exist, take any one of them, and I'm saying that it would make John happy. So anything is for all x. Right? Anything makes John happy. For every x, it is true that x makes John happy. I'm saying of how many things the propositional function x makes John happy is true. How many things? Of all of the things. For all x, x makes John happy. All right? Okay, so that's how you, so you got to recognize propositional functions. You got to recognize quantifier statements like so. Distinguish them from propositional functions. Distinguish them from singular sentences. Okay. So it's crucial to recognize, this is the coming up, the funniest jokes of the whole book, the whole course, a statement like, somebody trampled my strawberry patch, right? So if I said that to you, somebody trampled my strawberry patch, we don't all say, let's go and attack the person named somebody, right? Let's go and get that guy. His name is somebody, right? No, right? Funny. Why? Because clearly we understand the sentence differently than that. We understand the sentence, somebody trampled my strawberry patch, as precisely not, as the word somebody precisely is not naming an individual, right? It's clear that it's in English functioning differently, logically functioning differently. In your understanding of that sentence, you're processing that word differently than a name, right? Somebody trampled my strawberry patch means precisely what? The correct logical analysis, right? It's not a singular sentence. It's not predicating of the individual named somebody. Rather, it's asserting of how many things the propositional function X trampled my strawberry patch is true, namely that there exists an X, right? Different truth conditions to the singular sentence, right? The singular sentence, if I was to mistakenly take somebody trampled my strawberry patch as a singular sentence, right, that would only be true if the individual named somebody trampled my strawberry patch, right? But that is not the meaning of the word somebody in the sentence. It's saying somebody trampled my strawberry patch. I'm saying this is the logical form of what I'm saying, which has different truth conditions. There exists an X such that X trampled my strawberry patch. This is true whether it's Bill, John, Mary, Toby, Tom, right? If there does exist one amongst the individuals who did in fact trample my strawberry patch, whichever one it is, as long as there is one, then this is true. This says there exists at least one amongst the ones that are, without committing myself to which one it is, someone trampled my strawberry patch, right? So clearly, right, so I'm trying to get to the clear different functions involved with quantifiers and names, right? Quantifiers, like somebody trampled my strawberry patch, functions differently than a name, and that different function is reflected in our logical system of quantifier logic, in that we recognize the difference between singular sentences and simple quantified sentences, right? Billy trampled my strawberry patch, that is properly a singular sentence. I'm predicating trampled my strawberry patch to the individual Billy, but it's a different kind of sentence, different kind of being, different kind of linguistic being, if you will, right? It's a different kind of sentence than the quantifier, the simple quantified sentence, somebody trampled my strawberry patch, which says this, there is at least one, right? Its correct logical form involves the use of a quantifier, the existential quantifier. All right, now the really funny joke. It's even clearer when so again, to make the same point, right, the point that allows us to clearly distinguish in our heads a singular sentence from a quantifier sentence, right? What about the sentence? Nobody loves me, right? If I say to you, nobody loves me, okay. If I say to you, nobody loves me, do you appropriately respond to me by saying, oh, I'm so happy for you that you have somebody that loves you. The somebody that loves you is named nobody. I'm so glad that you found nobody. Nobody found you, and that nobody is loving you and keeping you happy, right? Would that be an appropriate response to me saying nobody loves me? No, and you go, ha 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 ha, that's funny. But why is it funny, right? It's funny because you understand that nobody is not functioning as a name, right? The inappropriate response where you say, oh, good, nobody loves you. That's great that this person named nobody loves you is loving you. So you are in fact loved by somebody, namely nobody, right? You recognize that as wrong, right? The fact that you recognize that as inappropriate, right, as misunderstanding the sentence shows that you, with your understanding of the English language, can, it shows that you, with your understanding of your English language, understand this word, nobody, to be functioning differently than a name, right? You understand, in your mere understanding of English, you can see that this is not a name, and thus that this sentence is not a singular sentence, right? This is not a individual and a predicate predicated of that individual. That is not how this sentence is working. This sentence has a different logical form. It has a different logical structure, right? And that's the logical structure we're getting at. And this was a big discovery, by the way. Frege came up with an understanding of quantifiers in the early 20th century, and it did avoid a lot of sleepless nights, as Klenk says, right? Especially with regard to, as is required here, the ability to use negations, and the negation combined with the existential quantifier. Right? So what is the logical analysis of, and there's a whole separate section on this, what is the logical analysis of nobody loves me? Okay, so the propositional function was the predicate Lx, x loves me, or x loves Dan, right? What am I saying when I say nobody loves me? So you have the fact that you laugh at the inappropriate response shows that you have a different understanding that's involved in understanding the sentence. How do we capture it? How do we express it logically with the existential quantifier and the negation, right? This was a great discovery, right? That this is what's going on in your understanding. This is the logical form of this sentence, right? Nobody loves me, right? So Lx, x loves me. There exists an x such that x loves me, right? So this is the translation of what? This is the translation of somebody loves me. And what am I saying when I say nobody loves me? I'm saying it is not the case that somebody loves me, right? That's how you say nobody loves me. And in fact, this is crucial to know because you'll have lots of translations that require this, right? Whenever you have nothing or none of, right, you symbolize them with the negation and the existential quantifier, right? And we'll elaborate on that when we get to that section.